Hello, Tragic Osprey 956. How you doing this morning? I hope you're well. Welcome to my live. What's your name? Hope your day's going well. Go away. Okay. Well, someone else has just joined. Hello, we've got in here. I didn't end up coming back on last night because, yeah, ended up. I was kind of busy. I was actually out at the gym for a while and then ended up getting some food and stuff. So I didn't end up bothering going live again last night. But I'm back now. I beat my deadlift record, so I'm pretty happy with that. Because I use this mixed grip thing. So yeah, basically it's like one hand under, one hand over. And I just found it massively helped me with like gripping the bar. Hello, Reluctant Gamer. Did you see that short I did? Deadlift PR I've got now 150 kilograms. Because before that I didn't quite get above 140. So I did 140 before that, but then tried 142.5. I couldn't quite get it all the way up. And I found that like even if I did do it, I would, like say when I did the 140, I was struggling to like grip the bar. Whereas with that, like with the 150, I could have kept gripping it for a while longer. Actually, it was just, yeah, that wasn't the actual problem. But yeah, with that one, so it was just so like yeah, grip isn't as much of an issue when it comes to doing mixed grip, but you gotta be careful because like you don't want to flex your elbow because what can happen is especially if you're using heavy weights, then what could happen is say if you're trying to lift it and then you can't lift it, and then what can happen is you tear your bicep because then so you say if you're flexing it and you can't get it up, and then what happens if the weight just drops, you know? That's why you need to keep your elbows like fully extended when you're doing it. Especially if you're doing like mixed grip, because you have one supinated grip, which gonna like, basically that's what they say like leads to the tearing. If say like you can't, complete the lift, it needs to be like completely like locked out, so it doesn't, so you don't get this kind of, and then yeah, you know what I mean? That's what you got to be careful of. Yeah, so that's just something to take into consideration really if you're using that grip. There is another grip that I was looking into called hook grip, where you put like your thumb under your finger, and it's a more secure grip, but it's like apparently it can be quite painful, and you have to know how to do it properly. And I've also heard that it can tear your skin or something. I don't know. It's like gotta be careful with these things, really. Anyway, hit the like button, everybody. We've got 13 in the house, so say hello if you're watching. Make sure you subscribe if you're new here. And we talk a lot about health, fitness, and a lot of other things on here. So just talking about like my deadlift PR, and yeah, one thing I might need to do a bit more is like try and engage the quads more when doing it, because if you see the people who actually do like really high deadlift numbers, they're actually using a lot of quads. Like if you look at like Eddie Hall or Thor, it's like, they're going to be using a lot of quads because, well, why wouldn't you? Because you're like, the quads are a massive, muscle group. It's like, it's probably like the biggest muscle group in the body. I mean, it's like, so like if you're not using that properly, then you're probably not going to be getting as much power and strength like from it, because it's all about, and strength is about being able to use multiple muscles and be able to kind of use them efficiently. So like instead of it just being like a hip hinge, if you're trying to get stronger, then it's like you might want to bend your legs more so that you can actually like leverage that better. Because that's something I've probably made a mistake of before, where it become more like a hip hinge sort of movement, which it can be, and you can do it like that, especially with like Romanian deadlifts and stuff like that. That's like a hip hinge exercise. But with like conventional, it's like if you're trying to like maximize strength, then wouldn't it make sense to try and utilize as many muscles as you can during that exercise, like try and leverage your quads. Just like in a squat, for example, you would be trying to utilize your strength in your quads, not just your hamstrings, and you would using basically almost all of your lower body muscles. You'd be using your glutes, you'd be using, yeah, I mean, so anyway, I hope everyone's doing well. Welcome to my live. Hope you're all having a great day. But if you notice it, that's like, they'll tend to bend their legs quite a bit, and that's gonna like, increase the amount of power that you can put through, like your a lot of your lower body. You're gonna be getting some, obviously your lower back's gonna be getting trained, and also like even things like your traps, like your lower traps, which are like in your like upper back, that's going to get worked as well if you're doing things right. And so it's going to be hitting a lot of different muscles. So that's the thing with deadlifting. If you do it properly, you're going to be hitting a lot of different muscles. But I don't necessarily think people should just do the big three and that's it, unless that's just what you want to do. But it's not necessarily going to make you look good, because the thing is, right, some guys that go to the gym and then that's all they do, they end up actually not looking too great, because they end up with like basically, if you're trying to be more attractive and look more of like, have that more masculine frame, then having wide shoulders and like, it's going to be, one of your ways to do that, to doing exercises like they're going to target that more, like whether that be wide grip shoulder press or something like that, or lateral raises, things like that, or with body weight, it would be wide pike push-ups, things like that. And also how are we doing, everybody? I hope you're all well. Sorry I'm missing the comments and stuff, but hope everyone's having a great day. Welcome in. How you doing, Reluctant? You still there? Sorry I'm missing comments. I don't know what happened. I thought no one was saying anything, but so basically, so like, like doing things like the body weights, lateral raises and stuff like that to have a more, kind of, like having that more balanced kind of look. Hello, Archie. How you doing? What's up? Welcome in. If you're new here, please subscribe to the channel. That would be very appreciated. So just I've been learning a lot about, exercise, execution and stuff like that, trying to execute things in the most efficient way. I've been looking into doing like the ski erg, which is like, it's like, sort of like an exercise that, it's like cardio, but it's also, it's like a hip hinge sort of exercise. The thing is, I'm not really sure if I should try to do too much of that, because the thing with like hip hinging is it's mostly going to be glutes. And I don't necessarily want to have disproportionately big glutes. On a guy, it's probably not going to look so great. So that's the thing. If you do exercises to try and train your butt, then it could just end up looking like, you could almost end up looking like a woman, because you'll have this kind of, sort of like, if you're doing loads of like, like things like deadlifts, Romanian deadlifts, with like kind of, like especially like stiff leg deadlifts and stuff like that. And, it's going to like, and then also even things like flat bench, if you're doing it with an arched back, you can actually like, you can sort of, it can sort of just make you look a bit, you know what I mean? It's going to look a little bit, like, so you have this droopy chest looking thing, but then as a man, then upper chest might be something you want to prioritize because you're otherwise it's, but if you're just trying to go purely for strength, then okay, fair enough. But like, you got to take into consideration, it's like, if you're bothered about how you're going to end up looking, then just doing those big three lifts is going to be a bit it's not going to give you the best body, I don't think, as a guy, because especially like a lot of the people doing, say, like the squats, and they do like the low bar squat or something, and anyway, I hope everyone's well today. Welcome to my live. Hope everyone's well. Share the live if you can. It seems like everyone's just gone now, so maybe it's just like because I missed the chat or something, and I just damn it, I should have like refreshed, but it just I don't know. Who's still in here then? Thank you for the 5 likes, everybody. But yeah, I don't know what you guys think, but to me it makes more sense to try and use more muscles on a deadlift, so then you can generate more power, and it just makes the exercise more efficient. Anyway, welcome in, everybody. I hope you're all having a good day. Share this out if you can. Just waiting for a bit. It's going to try and have a phone call with my mother later. So, well, she said she would call about 11 a.m. or something. So we'll see what happens. It's just, we've been trying to like call for a while now, but it's just not happened. And hopefully it will this time, because yeah, it's about time really. It's been a while. Been a while since I've had a phone call with my mother, so I need to just kind of like, just catch up really. Anyway, what's everybody else like up to today then? Anyone doing anything exciting today then, or what's going on with this chat? It's just dead now. I guess they'll just kind of stop talking then. So yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I'm feeling all right. Just feeling a little bit of like a slight burn maybe, but not anything much. That's just normal. Like when you've just, I did a pretty hard session yesterday at the gym. I just did a lot of like different exercises and stuff. Mixture of like, I did the ski erg. I did some like, also did some like, free weight stuff. Did some, did a bit of machine. I did the chest press machine thing. So I did quite a few different things really. I don't use machines all that often really, but there wasn't really any like, I don't think there was any way to do the bench press or whatever, or the dumbbell bench press. But yeah, we've got 5 people in here right now. Hope you're all having a good day. Hang on a second. Let's just try and refresh this live because I don't know what's going on. Okay, so yeah, there's nobody chatting. So yeah, so maybe just come and chat or something, because it would help if we could get some interaction going on and get some feedback. So yeah, I did the 150 kg deadlift, and I don't think I could have really gone any more than that really, but maybe slightly, but I don't know, because like the next one up from that would be 152.5, because I can only go up in 2.5 kg increments, I think, unless they have smaller weights, because they have like 1.25 kg weights, and you obviously want to put them on both sides, so then it'd be like 2.5 kg is the smallest increment that I could use. So I'll do like, I could try next time at 152.5, depending on how I feel, but maybe I should leave it while, and then try and just get good with the 150. But I can always try, but yeah. just kind of slowly just progress it. But I'm not really trying to build muscle with doing the deadlifts. I'm mainly just doing it for strength. Although Vulcan, I use squats and things for just trying to build muscle. Because like I said, currently I'm mainly just using posterior chain when doing deadlifts, and I don't really want to disproportionately build glutes. Like, otherwise I'd have to do quad isolation exercises for that to balance it out, basically. So I'd rather just kind of like focus on building strength with that. But like I said, there is a way of, like I said, if you can learn to try and bend your legs more when doing the deadlift, then you could generate more power. But you're sort of like having to sort of lift your legs up, and you're sort of like straighten up your back. So if you're going like, sort of like lift so you've got like your hip hinge, like your where your butt. So that's going to be kind of like basically like extending that, and then you've got the knee flexors, which are like your quads. Basically, they're going to like come in as well. So like what that means is you can basically if you bend your legs, then it's gonna mean there's less sort of strain on like the lower back, I think, possibly. So I think to having bent legs is going to be, you're just going to be able to drive more power through it. But I did try this thing where I was like bending my legs, because I see some people do it where they'll sort of like do this kind of thing where they'll count to 3 or whatever and then just lift it. But I wasn't exactly like kind of I don't know, probably using my quads in the most efficient way. So that's something I need to try and work on, is engaging them more on a deadlift. It's not really thought of as like a quad exercise, but why not? Like if you can utilize those muscles, then you're gonna get a more efficient lift, aren't you? I mean, I would have thought. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I see a lot of people. I guess it depends how you do it. If it's a Romanian deadlift or whatever, or there's different variations. Like Romanian deadlifts are more kind of. I mean, there's different variations like that. It's like you've got stiff leg deadlift, which is, I guess, kind of similar. It gets a bit confusing for me, but basically, I think RDLs are more done with a more kind of where the legs are more stretched. Basically, they're in a more it's going to work your hamstrings more, I think. But I've heard that they don't work your hamstrings fully, that you would want to then have some kind of other exercise. But yeah, I hope everyone's doing well today. Hopefully some more people are going to arrive. But yeah, thank you for the 6 likes. But it's all about trial and error, isn't it? But sort of figuring out how to make things more efficient, and how to utilize your muscles in a more efficient way, being more like learning to leverage your muscles better. Because sometimes people do things with a certain technique and then it's not right. Like, for example, with like bench press, it's like there's a way of even using your legs for that. Because let's say you're doing a bench press and you're like learn how to use leg drive, then that can increase your lift quite significantly, apparently. Whereas if you don't know how to use that, then you might struggle with that. But I see this guy on friggin' YouTube, and I'm not going to name any names anymore, but basically every time he tries to do like a PR, he's just lifting his ass off the bench. It's like you're just doing a hip thrust there, It's just funny because they'll try and like critique form or whatever, but on people, but then he's literally lifting his ass off the bench. So he's not even like, that wouldn't even pass as a bench press. It's a bench press, you got to have your 2 points of contact on the bench. You got to have your back resting on it and your butt. Otherwise, it doesn't count. If your butt just comes off the bench, then it doesn't fucking count. So yeah. So I don't know. If you're gonna like be, it's like we've all made mistakes and stuff, but it's like, it's just if you're going for like a PR, then yeah, you gotta make sure your butt's on it. Otherwise, you failed the PR. Maybe just like, just humble yourself and just kind of like accept that you're not quite there yet. If you can't do it without getting your ass off the bench, then I wouldn't really say that it's actually a PR. But anyway, I've got like issues where sometimes I'll do things with bad form and stuff. I'm trying to work on that. I'm trying to improve, but yeah, if you're going to be like lifting your butt off the bench, then look, what you're doing is you're shortening the range of motion doing that, because then well, think about it. If you're trying to do a bench press, think someone's like led on the bench, right, and they're holding the bar, and they bring the bar down, and then it's like, and they lift their butt up, and then like as they're trying to they're trying to lift it up, but they lift their butt up, so then their butt is giving it support, and it's like, and then they just end up kind of finishing off the rest of it, because it's going to get easier as you get to the top of the range of motion. So it's like they're using the butt to help out with the most difficult part of the lift, which is the bottom, when you're in a more stretched position. So how is that even going to count as a fucking bench press? I don't understand how you think that's gonna, that's acceptable as a bench press. So yeah, I'm not saying the guy ain't strong, he is, but if you have to do that, then that's not your PR, that is beyond your PR. So I've learned to try and just accept, if I'm having to break form, then I'm not quite there yet. Now you could argue about my deadlift form or whatever, but I think it's actually improved somewhat. I think that I was looking back at like an old video, and I do find it hard to not like have some arching, just because of how tall I am. I think that's something that is probably going to be like inevitable, because basically it's kind of like, it's a way to basically be able to, again, it's about being able to utilize more muscles and stuff, but you shouldn't have too much of a bend, especially like the lower back, and you don't want to really be doing that, but I'm trying my best. But yeah, but like it still would count, I guess, but it's not necessarily like the best form, but yeah, but I think they say it's actually all right to have some bend in your upper back, because like I was saying, you're utilizing those muscles, and you're actually able to kind of take some of the load off your legs, because then you're actually shortening the range of motion that your legs have to go through. So it's actually shortening the overall range of motion if you can utilize those muscles in your like upper back, like your traps and whatever. I'm not sure if your rhomboids get hit as well, but I think your traps get hit. Like, kind of like your upper middle back sort of thing. That's where like your spinal erectors, I know they get hit quite a bit on a deadlift. But yeah, you just want to be careful not to have, like bad form with it. Because I think that when I first started doing deadlifts, I was feeling like I had some kind of like my lower back was really bent up, and that's not good. You're putting a lot of strain there. That is not good. So I've been learning to try and I think it's improved because I've noticed that I haven't had like any issues. But I felt like if I'd have kept going and my lower back could have, something could have popped or anything could have happened, something could have torn. Gotta be very careful. Lower back's one of the, riskiest parts of your body that, that things can happen there. Like your shoulders, your lower back, your chest. All of these places are quite sort of prone to injury in a lot of cases, especially with like heavy weights and stuff. So yeah, I don't know whether I have to restart this live or something because we just don't really have much going on here. So I have to start a new one because I was like missing chat and then it just I don't know. It seems like it's gone quiet. So yeah, so guys, would you like come back if I restarted the live or something? So I just yeah, I'm gonna have to start a new one, I think. All right, I'll be back in a sec.